Good morning.
Good morning!
How many of you all like Dr. Seuss?
Many!
All right. Well, we're going to read a couple of Dr. Seuss books. Is that okay?
Yeah!
All right. Good. This is Read Across America Week. So this is the week when we try to encourage all of our students to read just a little bit more. We know you read a lot, but we want you to read just a little bit more to improve your skills. And practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah!
All right. How about a slide trombone? How about a perfume smeller? How about a fortune teller? You can be a turkey farmer. You can be a teacher. You can be a lot of things. How about a preacher? Take all the bones out of the fish. So like this thing? Or a roller coaster owner.
Our schools, our communities, our future. On March 5th, 2024, the residents of Montgomery County joined together and voted to renew the county's 3.5 millage tax. This successful renewal supports not only Montgomery Public Schools, but Pike Road Schools as well. The support of this tax allows both school systems to continue to provide quality education and the resources necessary for our students to be successful. Thank you, Montgomery County, for believing in our future.
Good evening. The April 9th regular board meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Education is called to order. Please remember to mute all electronic devices. We welcome each of you present as well as those who are streaming with us. For the invocation, we welcome Reverend John Gilchrist, Jr. I was looking, I apologize. Thank you. Reverend John F. Gilchrist, Jr. of the Progressive Baptist Church. Welcome, Reverend Gilchrist.
Let us bow our heads. Our Father and our God, we come with thanksgiving, praising you for all you have done. We ask now in the name of Jesus that you will strengthen President Coleman and all board members. Father God, to strive to do their best that will benefit the community and guard them against blind self-interest. We pray, Father God, for our Superintendent Brown. Crown his head with wisdom and knowledge. Pray that he will seek your will in whatever he wished to ask or do. And above all, we ask that you cover the students, teachers, the faculty, cover this community. And as we look toward heaven, we praise you for our Savior. In Jesus' name, we ask these blessings forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Gilchrist. At this time, will you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, we will establish our quorum. There are 7 of our members present. I declare that a quorum is present. The agenda has been posted for our review. If there is no objection, colleagues, we will adopt this agenda by unanimous consent. The question before you, is there objection?
Madam Chair, if I may. Under number 10, consent for agenda, if we could move item C, GPS Educational Services Summer Bridge Program, to number 11.
GPS Educational Services, item C. It has been requested that we move it. It becomes 11. Consider for approval will be item, well, it will fall in, I apologize. It will fall in with the consider for approval. So it will become item D, if that's okay with you all. Are there any concerns, any discussion? Thank you. At this time, we'd like approval of the agenda as edited, as changed. Is there objection? The agenda as changed has been approved. Thank you. I have just a few remarks this evening. As always, it has definitely been a busy month, but it has been busy with amazing and exciting activities in our schools and in our district. As your board president, I am delighted to share some highlights and developments within the district. I will tell you that during our recent advocacy days at the state capitol, Board Member Mitchell and I were there, and we were sort of proud when Montgomery stood out as a shining example of what successful advocacy and community engagement looks like. there were people in the crowd who used us as an example of what it is they would like to see being done in their own districts. This kind of recognition received serves as a testament to our collective efforts as we advocate for the students and the teachers in our district. We're also proud to announce that the Office of Curriculum and Instruction had an amazing turnout for the Family Math Play Day event. This event focused on activities that aligned with our Alabama Numeracy Act. Families were able to engage in family-focused fun numeracy activities, and they also received some take-home learning activities. Embracing technology in the classroom through initiatives is another place where we can be quite proud. The initiatives such as our one-to-one device program and our digital resources do set us apart from other districts. This is another one of the activities that other board members across the state spotlighted when they spoke to us. The fact that our one-to-one devices do go home with our students. In other districts around the state, they have to leave those devices at the school building. So the one-to-one is not as powerful as we see it here. We offer the CTE programs that do provide our students with those hands-on experiences that help in their career pathways. Recognizing that April is our standard testing month, we encourage all of our students to do their very best as they prepare for their ACAP and other standardized tests. Educators, we do thank you for all of the work that you do to prepare our students for these assessments. We know that our students are being prepared, and we are proud of the work that you're doing. As I close out, I would love to thank the community leaders, all of our community leaders, for your unwavering support of Montgomery Public Schools. Our relationships with other elected officials, the business community, the military community, and community leaders are a testament to our commitment to supporting our students. Montgomery, together we are working to implement partnerships that do spark innovation and imagination in our classrooms. As a matter of fact, out of those partners that I did mention, this is a good time to congratulate our district on being a Purple Star designated district. We have some 45 schools that are receiving that recognition, and we do have 2 representatives in our audience this evening. If you would just stand and show that you are wearing this beautiful purple to represent Purple Star. We are so proud to be in partnerships with you. And the Purple Star schools for the state of Alabama will be recognized later this week by the Alabama State Department of Education. I would like to thank Dr. Brown, district leadership, teachers, staff, students, parents, the entire education family. We do applaud each of you for your outstanding work. MPS has made some great strides, some amazing strides. Another item that received a lot of buzz at our recent meeting were the Yonder pouches. People are talking about our Yonder pouches. Our teacher residency program, us ensuring that our curriculum is aligned with the State Department, and the drop-in discipline referrals in our schools, and much, much more. All of these strategies move us toward recognizing that we are a district to be admired, although we have much more to do, but we appreciate the progress that we are making in our district, and we thank each of you for your role in that. At this time, we would like to bring Ms. Jade Jones for her recognitions.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Brown, and board members. Just as Madam President just shared, April is a time where we observe a standardized testing across the district. And to echo Dr. Coleman's remarks, we want to send a huge round of applause to our school families for all of their hard work. Students, if they're listening, as Dr. Brown always shares, remember to bring your best selves to school every day and do your best. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's send a round of applause to our students and families at home as we encourage them to do their best on their standardized tests. And again, to echo Dr. Coleman, we do want to thank all of our educators for preparing our students. And because our students are preparing for testing, we will have them, Madam President, rejoin us next month because we understand that parents would like for them to be well rested for tomorrow. However, we are so honored to share that the George Washington Carver High School varsity cheerleaders placed 5th in the nation for small game day for the small game day co-ed category, and they also placed first right here in Montgomery. And next up, we're proud to share that Baldwin Middle School is proud to announce that 3 8th grade students, which are Mackenzie Kim, Mahai Patel, and Yafi Sheen, have been named the State School Board District 5 winners in the Governor's App Challenge. Their innovative app, which is Dermatech, has earned them the prestigious recognition and the opportunity to advance to the state finals of the 2023 Governor's App Challenge, which is set for April 15th. And we would like to thank our colleague, Ms. Sydney Sneed, for making sure that we receive that information. Now, Madam President, last but not least, as you mentioned, April is an extremely busy month, so I am going to recognize several groups if you do not mind. During the month of April, we recognize National Occupation Therapy Month, School Library Month, and we do have Mrs. Huntley in the audience tonight, so we want to thank Ms. Huntley and all of our librarians for what they do. It is World Autism Month. It is also Paraprofessional Month, National Assistant Principal Week, Administrative Professionals Week, National Student Leadership Week in the month of April, and that concludes the recognitions for April.
Thank you very, very much, Ms. Jones. We have 4 scheduled public comments. At this time, we welcome Mrs. Phaedra Carson Foster to the microphone to speak to us about the 6 standards for successful family-school partnerships as they begin with welcoming all families.
Good afternoon, evening to everybody. My comments are going to be different from what they normally are because this is a busy month for everybody and I teach. I wanted to point out something that has happened at one of our traditional schools, and that was at the end of last year. We got a grant for $2,500 to promote testing and support students to improve testing. We used those funds to do a pep rally and a nacho party and all of that kind of stuff to hype the students up, and we really pushed that there needed to be 86% attendance for the test. There was 97% attendance for the test. That speaks to the power of the PTA to promote academic achievement. We're not talking about family engagement or family involvement. We're talking about family-school partnerships with an emphasis on school because that's what we do. We're trying to help, as I always tell y'all, our mission statement is to help every child reach their full potential. You talk about advocacy. You all know that we have a national presence in the PTA, and we were part of the legislative convention. We ended up with the final bill before Congress, an increase of $20 million to Title I funding, and that we have $14.2 billion for the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which represents a $20 million increase over last year. Almost $1.4 billion for student support and academic enrichment grants, which supports comprehensive school safety health programs, and the use of educational technology and provide students with a well-rounded education. We have $174 million for school-based mental health service grants, $98.8 million for the National Child Traumatic Stress Initiative, an $18 million increase for the 988 Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and more than $160 million to address the shortage of school-based mental health professionals in our K-12 schools. We are doing what we can to support education. And so with that, I'm asking you all to adopt the National PTA's 6 standards for successful family school partnerships. I'm also asking you to help us establish units at the schools that we don't have units at by the end of the year so that they will be eligible for funding opportunities that only come around towards the end of the year. We would like a place to hold our summer leadership training. That's what helps us to build the capacity of all parents at all schools to be able to advocate for themselves. Not every parent has access to leadership training. Dr. Coleman and Ms. Smith attended our training that we do at the beginning of the year, but this is a different one. We want to expand the capacity of parents to be able to advocate for themselves. Am I done? I'm so sorry. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. At this time, and I do apologize, I did not read the procedures. I will read them at this time. Requests must be made in advance in writing to the superintendent's office by 4:30 p.m. on the Tuesday preceding the date. The request must have specified the nature of the business to be taken up with the board and the name of the person who will address the board to be added to the agenda. Communications must be respectful. Discussing specific student or employee matters will not be allowed. Individuals who have concerns that are inappropriate to be solved in this venue are welcome to seek a problem-solving meeting with the superintendent. Immediate feedback by the board may not be provided. However, you may be contacted for follow-up by the superintendent or a designee. Public comments may not exceed 3 minutes. The board chairman has full authority to terminate the remarks of any person whose comments contain personal attacks, exceed the limit, or are otherwise inappropriate. A speaker may be considered disruptive who continues to speak when their allotted time has ended, when asked to stop speaking by the board chair, or is otherwise inappropriate. If a person fails to comply when asked to terminate comments, he or she will be escorted to their seat out of the auditorium and/or off of MPS property, depending on the level of disruption. And I do apologize for not having read those in advance. And I'll be honest with you, Ms. Foster is definitely at home here, and we appreciate all of your comments. At this time, we welcome Anna Buckaloo, President and CEO of the Montgomery Area Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening. How's everyone this evening? I want to thank you so much for allowing us time on your agenda. And to be brief, I want to tell you we're here tonight to pile on to what I think someone called it buzz. There is a lot of buzz about Montgomery Public Schools. Your leadership has a huge role in that. Tonight we're here to say thank you. To make our official presentation, I'll ask our Executive Vice President of the Chamber, Sharon Rose, to speak and then introduce our Chairman of the Board, Karen Hughes.
Thank you, Madam President. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity not only just to introduce a resolution that the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors passed at the last board meeting, and I know that we also, in addition to our chairman, we have members of our board who have joined us. If you'll just stand, please, and be recognized. And we will be recognizing, thank you. The Chamber Board adopted a resolution in honor of the work of Dr. Brown, but also the important work that the Board of Education has made. We understand fully, and we are here to publicly acknowledge the work of the members of the Montgomery School Board, as well as that of Dr. Brown, the staff of MPS. Like each of you, we are committed to making sure that students be and become men and women who will make an important impact to this community. The city, the county, and the chamber work together collaboratively to consistently work to drive economic development and to build a greater Montgomery for all citizens. And we know that education and economic development mandates collaboration, constant and consistent partnership. Neither is successful independently. And so with that, and with members of the Board of Directors of the Chamber of Commerce and our leadership, let me take just a moment just to read the board resolution, and then our chairwoman will make comments. Whereas the mission of the Montgomery Area Chamber of Commerce is to drive economic growth and build a greater Montgomery for all, and whereas the Chamber represents a public-private partnership united in its commitment to public education as a cornerstone of community prosperity, and whereas the Chamber commends Dr. Melvin J. Brown for his outstanding leadership, his courage to innovate, and his heart to work tirelessly to put students first. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Montgomery Area Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors affirms and steadfast support of Dr. Melvin J. Brown as a critical asset to Montgomery's future, and hereby commends the Montgomery County Board of Education for its wisdom in selecting and supporting Dr. Brown, and for trusting in his professional leadership and direction to transform Montgomery Public Schools. We, the undersigned members of the Board of Directors of the Montgomery Area Chamber of Commerce, hereby certify that the above resolution was duly adopted at a meeting of the board held on March 28, 2024, signed by Chairman of the Board, Ms. Karen Hughes, and President CEO Anna Buckaloo. And without further ado, Madam Chair.
Thank you. That flows into your next 3 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Sharon. Good evening. I want to thank the board for letting me speak today on behalf of the chamber staff, the executive committee, and the board. It's hard to believe, but it has been 2 years since Dr. Brown was selected to be superintendent. We commend the Board of Education for its hard work in searching for the kind of leader that we found in Dr. Brown. The Chamber represents a public-private partnership united in its commitment to public education as a high priority for our community to grow and prosper. And we strongly commend Dr. Melvin Brown for his outstanding leadership. Point out Dr. Brown received the prestigious Dwight D. Jones Courageous Leader Award by the Institute of Education Innovation. Each year, the group recognizes just one administrator nationally who is fearlessly taking on short-term challenges with forward-thinking solutions to achieve long-term success for their students. According to the IEI CEO and founder, Doug Roberts, Dr. Melvin J. Brown was articulated as a comprehensive mission focused on ensuring the success and well-being of every student and staff member. His vision includes a commitment to delivering the highest quality education to all students, fostering safe, nurturing learning environments, and attracting and retaining top-tier employees through continuous professional development. We also want to thank the Montgomery County Board of Education for your wisdom in selecting and supporting Dr. Brown, and for trusting in his professional leadership and direction to transform Montgomery Public Schools. I know we all agree that a good school system is crucial for the overall well-being and success of a community. It not only ensures that children receive a quality education, but also contributes to the local economy, attracts new families to our area, and fosters a sense of pride among all existing residents. It is so important that we communicate with each other and work together towards our goals. I have no doubt that if Dr. Brown, the school board, the chamber, the city, and the county all move forward in the same direction, we will be successful. Thank you, Dr. Brown, and to all of you on the school board for the progress that you are making. We are so very proud of your accomplishments in such a short period of time, and we look forward to great things in the future. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for that time. Leadership matters, and we sincerely thank you for yours.
We thank you.
Madam President, it's been requested that if possibly the chamber could take a picture with you all and Dr. Brown in this resolution. Is that fine? I do apologize. Point of order.
Not a problem.
You have to come up front.
Now, if we want to wait until the end, that'll be good too.
Who wants to hold it? Dr. Brown, he'll get to the center.
Reverend Davis, I'm going to apologize, but we will definitely hear from you. Thank you. At this time, we welcome Reverend Ronald Davis, the Metro Montgomery Ministerial Alliance's president.
Good evening, Dr. Coleman, and of course the board, and Dr. Brown. We're delighted to be here to share with you this evening, and I'll say ditto to all that Dr. Coleman said, and of course these that made the resolution in regards to our school district. And we, as ministers of the Montgomery Metro Minister Union, are in full support of our school system, and we have endeavored to meet with Dr. Brown in his office, and he's visited our union and shared with our ministers. And I had the opportunity to listen to a presentation that he did with the Chamber of Commerce, which was professional, and certainly you express your passion for the school and students that you have the opportunity to serve as superintendent with and for, and just your personal humility and the humble background that you came from, that you're able to relate to the best of academia and also be an advocate for those who are facing adverse situations and circumstances. And just for a personal note, I would like to say that I'm grateful that a man is among these ladies, amen? And I say that facetiously, but for a long time, I did not understand why my boys would often refer to me as yes, ma'am. And more I thought about it. They went to school where there were female teachers. They all had female teachers. They had female principals, and every aspect of their education was about female. And I'm not down on female, but I'm grateful that Dr. Brown is here, and you serve as a model for our children. And may God bless you, and may God bless Montgomery school system. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I have a few ministers with me, and we're grateful. We are ministers of 50 plus throughout the city, and we stand behind the school system. Amen.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda, there were no citizens' comments that were signed up for. The next item on the agenda would be the February 2024 financial statement. Mr. Arthur Watts.
Thank you very much, Madam President, Dr. Brown, members of the board. You should have before you the financial statement for the month of February 2024. Information contained in the financial statement would include the explanation of financial data, which is an analysis and discussion by the CSFO as it relates to the district's financial position, a snapshot analysis, which is a brief synopsis of the district's financial standing as of February 29th, 2024, a general budget recap, which is a breakdown of our general fund balances, and I'll go into that in just a second. A monthly budget percentage. Of course, we know that February represents the 5th month of the fiscal year. Our fiscal year starts October 1st, so February will be the 5th month of the fiscal year, which will be 41.67% of the fiscal year. Our monthly and comparative statements of revenues and expenditures, which is a comparative report of all of our month-to-date expenditures and year-to-date expenditures, and it compares it to our prior year's month-to-date expenditures and year-to-date expenditures. A statement of cash flow reports our monthly and annual actual cash received and actual cash paid out as of February 29th, 2024, a pie chart of those cash inflows and cash outflows. Also, our F exhibits, which are our combined financial statements, which includes our combined balance sheet, which speaks to our district's financial position, and our combined statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, which basically in private industry would be referred to as a income statement. I just want to just briefly look at, Madam President, our general fund balance recap. We see as of February, I forgot to change the date there, February 2024. As of February, that fund balance was $118 million. I always like to highlight our local general fund because these are the dollars that the district has discretion as it relates to expending. All of those other general fund dollars, of course, have to be expended for those various fund sources. We see where we ended the prior year of 2023 at $79.5 million. Of course, now we're at $101 million. Madam President, last month a board member inquired about our security allocations. As you know, we have been setting funds aside for various needs that we know will be coming up in the future. So we decided to, and the board approved, for us to start setting aside monies for our reserve accounts, because we know at some point that there will be a need for roof repairs, there'll be a need for HVAC repairs, there'll be a need for flooring repairs, and so forth. So in FY 2023, we started these reserve accounts, and we know that we started off with $5 million, and the board approved $5 million for 2024. Also, technology reserve. I think Dr. Coleman mentioned that a lot of the board, that the state board members was kind of elated to see that we have one-to-one computer initiatives. But that's something we want to continue even after these ESSER COVID dollars are gone. We want to continue to have monies available or reserves available to continue those initiatives. So we thought it to be important that we think early about setting the monies aside for those particular reserve accounts. And so we started 2023 with $2 million. The board approved an additional $600,000 for 2024. Same thing with security. We started the security reserve this fiscal year. The board approved $750,000. It also approved another $750,000 for vehicle replacement reserves. So in all, we approved, or the board approved, an additional $7.1 million for 2024 after we set aside $7 million in 2023. Madam President, because we see exactly where our funding stands, and I think I mentioned this in our update, that we'd like to recommend setting aside some additional funds in our reserve account. I always say that in times of plenty, let's set aside monies for times of scarcity so that we'll have those reserves available when those times come. So we're recommending an additional $5 million to go into our capital reserve, an additional $1.4 million to technology reserve, additional $2.2 million to security reserve, an additional $350,000 for our vehicle reserve. That's a total of $9 million. And of course, we're projecting to end fiscal year 2024, if the reserve account are approved, with about $23.1 million. And I think that sets us up very, very well for upcoming needs, even after those COVID ESSER funds are gone. And I would just like to say that whether I'm here or not, that we want to continue to set aside monies in these various reserve accounts to ensure that we have funds set aside to meet our needs and not have to hit general fund. Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. And he took care of items 8 and 9. At this time, are there questions or discussion regarding the financial statement and/or the increase in our reserve accounts? Any questions? Thank you again, Mr. Watts. The next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. There will be items A, they are lettered A through F, but technically items A through E, the financial statement, the increase in reserve accounts, the re-roofing projects for 3 of our schools, our minutes, and our bid report. Dr. Brown.
Madam President, I recommend for approval the consent agenda as listed for items A, B, D, E, and F.
Thank you. You have heard the recommendation of the superintendent. Is there a motion? I'm sorry. Yes, is there a motion?
I move to accept the recommendation of the superintendent for the consent agenda items A, B, D, and E.
I second.
And F.
And F, I'm sorry.
Who seconded that?
I second.
Thank you. Is there discussion? Is there discussion? Hearing no discussion, it has been approved. Those items have been approved. At this time, we wish to consider for approval 4 items, starting with item A, personnel report, certified personnel. Dr. Brown?
Madam President, I recommend for approval to the board the personnel report, certified personnel.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent. Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we accept the superintendent's recommendation. Is there discussion? Ms. Cloud? We've been requested to withdraw item number 35 from the personnel report. Is there any other discussion?
I just have a few questions with the number of non-renewals. Is there a reason why we still are non-renewing and why we have so many with the climate that we're in, with it being so hard to find teachers? And then I'd also like to know if any of the non-renewed are in our teacher academy. And I tell you why I ask that, because as we recruit people to come, and our end result is to put these people in a position where they can become educators and become valuable to our students. But we've done this historically every year at the end of a year. It's hard to get people to come create a living and then they not have a job. So I am concerned with the number of them yet again at the end of this year.
There was a spreadsheet, there was an explanation of that given in Friday's packet to give a breakdown of what each of those looks like in the particular categories. Some of those folks are actually non-renewed. Their contracts have to be non-renewed because of their expired, so we can hire those folks back, which in many respects we expect to do.
I did not see that in my packet.
No,
It was there, it's in there.
no,
It's in,
I didn't see it.
Okay, well,
Well, it's
I did
still-
not see that, so.
It's still not the answer I'm looking for. Were any of those teachers that were, or personnel that were non-renewed, the 116, in the teacher academy?
To my knowledge, no.
And then, Dr. Brown, you said they have to be non-renewed. Why?
Law.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Some of those legally have to be non-renewed, like Teams contracts or those other expiring contracts. And some of those positions are also expiring due to the fact they were allocated with ESSER dollars. So some of those positions are expiring, but some of those same people we can hire right back.
Okay, that's my question. Okay, so by law, we non-renew them and then we hope to hire them back.
Yes,
Do we let them know that?
yes, that was part of the conversation.
Okay.
I've been on the receiving end of one of those. It didn't feel good to get the pink slip, but it was federal funds, had to be done. And they did call me back, but Montgomery had already picked me up, so.
Well, and I just want to be diligent in asking because I need to know. Didn't know it. I do know that laws exist. I have been fortunate not to have been there, but I've seen it done. And I wish it didn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
It's really disturbing, the quality of people you can lose. Young people are not like us. They don't stay around.
Well, and I'll be honest, I had some similar concerns, and I jotted down those same numbers that you jotted down, but I also remembered my first year on the board. I think it was in the neighborhood of 118 that year. That number sticks in my head.
And one year it was 200.
Sure.
And you're right, it does happen almost too often, but hopefully we will be able to retain some of those as we move forward. Thank you. So here's where we are. It has been moved that we accept the superintendent's recommendation. One board member asked that we pull number 35 for further discussion. So at this time, I'd like to take a vote. All those in favor of the personnel report, certified personnel, except for number 35, please let it. Gotcha. I was worried about the executive session piece and just overlooked getting the vote on whether or not to remove the name. Thank you. At this time, we will take the vote on whether or not to remove number 35 for number 35. All those in favor of removing an item
You have to have a
before.
motion.
Okay, so this is like an amendment. Thank you. Okay. Let's pull yourself together. And at this time, would you like to put that in the form of a motion? Okay. Is there a second?
They couldn't hear you. Could you repeat
Okay, I would like to withdraw number 35 for further discussion. That's my motion.
Is there a second? Okay, it dies for lack of a.
I don't have my, I'll second it.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to remove number 35 from our personnel report for further discussion. Those in favor, raise your hands. All those opposed? It failed. Yes, it passes. So now we're back to the main motion, and that main motion is the personnel report, certified personnel, minus number 35. All those in favor, raise your hands. It's unanimous. So I will take a little advice on moving forward as far as item number 35 goes. But at this time, let us move to item B, personnel report, classified personnel. Dr. Brown.
Madam President, I recommend for approval the personnel report, classified personnel.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent. Is there a motion?
I motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation. I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for the personnel report, classified personnel. Is there discussion? Is there discussion?
I have one item, as far as classified personnel, are we still we have several things on target for classified. One of the things to remember is, my question last month was, certified personnel receive supplements when anything outside, when extra duties are added on. We've approved those, and those have been readily available to them. That same courtesy has not been extended to classified personnel that work outside of their jobs. You have CMP. Our numbers in lunchrooms are down. So we might need to start maybe looking at them, or you may already have a plan, Dr. Brown, but I didn't want that to get lost, that we're still waiting on some things as we look at these new contracts and new money. We need to get some of these things that we've started off the board, and classified is one of them.
Classified personnel are eligible for supplements, just like certified personnel are. They were coaching supplements or whatever the case may be, they are eligible for those as well.
I just want to see some. I mean, when how would they, what's the plan?
Typically, those are done at the building level based on whatever the needs of that particular building might be, and principals recommend those.
See, I don't think they knew that. Okay.
You don't think who knew what?
Do principals know that?
Yes.
Okay, y'all say that. Where's the principal? I mean, because I can't imagine a principal would not have offered that to somebody that they know is working outside of their regular duties.
And I
But
have to
if they are,
support her.
I mean, it's not, I'm not challenging.
No, that's okay.
I'm asking
Because
for
as
information.
long as I've sat on this board, we see coaches get supplements, but those other things, I'll be honest with you, I've never seen it. And it's not because I'm accusing us of not having it. I think I personally wasn't aware that we could do that.
Yeah, classified personnel just is eligible for supplements for given positions, just like a certified person would be.
Maybe we could get more information on that. I'd like to see.
I don't really know what else to provide to you.
Well, that is the information, the principals, now that the principals know it, maybe we can get something as short, when they have these principal meetings, maybe it can be mentioned. You know, we can keep some of our classified personnel by offering supplements for those that are working out doing extra work. Because I know a lot of times they'll pick up extra work, but that may save a position or two.
And we do have to look at the skill level, not skill levels, but, you know, I have known classified persons, and can't call you a name because I worked in the district a long, long time ago, but to work with, say, cheerleader programs and other kinds of programs. So those persons who have skills to offer as coaches or of sports or cheerleading and other things of that sort, I have known that to happen, and I can't give you a today example. You know, so, you know, if the people are applying, and I apologize, I jumped in before.
I think Mr. Watts had a comment.
Thank you, Dr. Brown, Madam President, members of the board. I just want to say that when we're talking about classified employees, there are different laws that govern some of our classified employees comparable to our teachers and certified employees. For example, with the grand majority of our classified employees, we are governed by what is called the Fair Standards Labor Act, which means that any additional duties they do outside of their regular work, we have to pay them overtime beyond 40 hours. So they are being paid overtime. I also want to just state, as it relates to some of our classified employees, of course, one of the first things we need to do is, and we are continuing with this, or intend to come back to the board with this, is pretty much pay folk a livable wage or competitive wage as it relates to other school districts around this same area. We have done that with child nutrition, and we have done that with transportation already, and we will be coming back. We've done that with some of our paraprofessionals, and we will be doing that with others, such as the clerical and so forth. It's just a really difficult job but we'll get salary schedules together, we're getting job descriptions and those kinds of things together. Let me also just add, as it relates to child nutrition, there should have been something in your update regarding a recommendation that we plan to make regarding child nutrition. Because I do want to say that we do understand the situation with CNP. Not only have I spoken with the CNP director, several CNP managers, but several CNP employees themselves. And I do know in many of the schools, a lot of our schools, we are understaffed in several of those schools, but we do have to ensure that our students are fed. And so there is a proposal that we put in the update to address our child nutrition employees, and we intend to bring that as a proposal to the board for your consideration for the next board meeting.
I was just about to say, I thought I remembered reading that in the weekly connections.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Watts, just for clarity, when we schedule at the beginning of the year, you know secretaries and registrars that work are working overtime. You know they're working on the weekend. They're doing anything they can do to schedule these students. Are we saying we're paying them overtime?
Absolutely. Well, and what I've stated to principals, that if a person works 40 hours or more, we must pay them overtime. The law requires that we pay them overtime. So yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And if I need to put another communication out there with that, because that is federal law, I want to always ensure that that is taking place.
Please do, because you have people that maybe the principals are at meetings. You may have a secretary and a parent hasn't picked a child up. Secretary could be there to 4:15.
Yes, ma'am.
4:30. That's overtime.
Absolutely. And then in that case, then we should be paying that secretary.
Very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Watts, if you could hang on, I just wanted to, because I did hear you say that you mentioned the law, but you did say that you and the board of director, and I'm trying to look at it here, you will see where we could offer a retention and recruitment supplement in effort to retain our current employees and recruit new CMP employees. So in there will be possibly an opportunity to have a supplement.
Yes, ma'am. That's what the intent is.
I think that's what they wanted to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's what we intend to address at the next board meeting. I've already spoken with the state CMP director and spoken with our own district CMP director, and that's what we intend to provide or promote. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Yes. The personnel report, classified personnel. So at this time, we're ready for a vote. All those in favor, raise your hands. It's unanimous. Item C, there's an addendum, personnel report, classified personnel, addendum number 1.
Madam President, I recommend the approval of personnel report, classified personnel, addendum 1.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move that we receive the superintendent's recommendation for personnel report, classified personnel, addendum 1.
It has been moved and seconded that we accept the superintendent's recommendation regarding personnel report classified addendum 1. Is there discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll take the vote. All those in favor, raise your hands. It is unanimous. Item D, GPS Educational Services, the Summer Bridge Program.
Madam President, I recommend for approval the GPS Educational Services Summer Bridge Program.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent. Is there a motion?
I motion that we accept the recommendation of the superintendent. I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the GPS Educational Services Summer Bridge Program. Is there discussion? Ms. Watkins-Smith.
I did have one thing, and I'm going to come from the curriculum audit that was done. One of the things that was noted in there is that we had a lot of different programs in the district, and I hope the public can hear me. But we have a lot of different programs that may or may not have been aligned with the needs of the district students without program evaluations that could impact learning. So I say all that to say this. I went, looked through GPS, and I know that we use it for truancy, and it's also being used in other schools for instructional needs as well. I know I heard a board member in the not so distant past ask about providing information relevant to that, because when we're spending the money, not that we don't want to spend it on children, and we definitely want them to have something that's going to work for them, but we need to know how it's working as we have it now. Summer school is 2 weeks. It's a decent amount of money, for a program, but I was curious as to, instead of having a program, perhaps look at some of our teachers in the district to provide some of the services, or just to see if we have staff members or anybody that could, step in to help, because we do have some wonderful teachers that I think that could qualify to do this instead of putting a program. And I think that person-to-person interaction, I know with them, but with somebody that that's been in the trenches with you and may have some best practices that they use would help, even if it's coaches. But if you could just kind of tell me where I need the clarification and understand.
Sure. So you're correct. This is the Summer Bridge Program. So it's focused on supporting 8th graders, rising 9th graders. So this is focused on our freshmen. We've had it in Carver, Park Crossing for the last 4 years. And so right now, what's before you is to have our magnet schools also benefit from the programs. They focus on social emotional learning. This is not just GPS. This is also a combination of the staff. So they are bringing in guest speakers. They have drones. They have emotional learning support activities that they've created that our teachers actually engage in as well. They support us in building and developing the curriculums. Our goal is, for sustainability purposes, that in the next 3 years we are able to take on what GPS has provided and continue those supports throughout the summer with our own staff. I think that our staff appreciates that they come prepared for us to carry out those activities. Our staff are involved in summer school during June. They're planning, they're preparing for the following year. And so GPS has really supported a lot of that bulk of work that's done that teachers would have to engage in. And so our hope is that our teachers are able to elevate the program throughout the rest of the years outside of the contract.
So with this particular contract, I know you said they're going to go into other schools this year. That's one piece. And then the summer school piece is another piece. And they've been working with Carver and whatever school for 4 years. Mm-hmm. Is it possible, I mean, and I'm sure there's a lot of professional development that goes with it. Usually it is. Am I correct with GPS? Do they offer our teachers professional development?
Yes, but this specific contract is for our summer bridge. So what's before you is specifically for those programs that exist for rising freshmen. Okay. So there are other professional developments that they offer. Each school has their own contract that they have maybe developed specifically for their teachers, but this particular program is for our summer bridge.
And
so it's now inclusive of all of our high schools, where before each individual contract was coming to you specific with just the high school. So we've now engaged all of the high school principals, and that's what's before you right now.
Okay.
I have
Excuse
one.
me, go ahead.
How long? You said the summer. Are we going all summer or just the summer school lot?
It's for 2 weeks, and that's just bridge. So this is not summer school. This is an opportunity for all rising freshmen to go into their buildings, their new high schools, and get acclimated with the building and the staff.
Have our numbers been good in the rising freshmen attending?
Yes, and specifically in the ones who have had the program.
Yeah.
So this will be the first year that we're actually engaging all high schools. And you're right, we do want to be consistent with the partnerships that we use. So Mr. Hall, it was very adamant that this is successful, and so we had a meeting with our principals, and we're excited to see that throughout the district. So it's one partner across all of our high schools.
Okay, Ms. Cloud.
Okay, I understand that the magnet schools you're focusing on a little bit now already have something in place to get the ninth graders incorporated into their school. Will that interfere with that, or will they continue to get to have that?
I don't want to, I'm pretty sure that it's going to enhance it. Again, the principals were involved in this decision, so they are well aware of the partnership with GPS. And so these activities are there to enhance whatever has been going on and support them in the development of the curriculum.
Because they have been doing bridge for a long time, for a better word, that they have been inviting the ninth graders in and the parents in. So that's a good model. If it hand in hand goes hand in hand with that. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Additional concerns, discussion?
The only one, when we put them all in, when we get this piece, can we keep some numbers on it and some data on it so we can compare it? Because you said one day we'll do it and maybe not use GPS, and then we can see if, if that piece, maybe we need a support piece necessary when we transition to do it.
Absolutely. Our expectation also with GPS is to increase our attendance, and so they understand what we expect from them as a partnership. So yes, they're coming in and we're paying them to do something, but we also have outcomes that we've talked to them about that we will be monitoring through data.
Thank you. All right, at this time, the GPS Educational Services, it has been moved and seconded that we accept the superintendent's recommendation. It's time for a vote. All those in favor, let it be known by raise of hands. It is unanimous. Thank you. At this time, we need to revisit personnel report, certified personnel, number 35.
Depending on the questions, we could answer those here. However, if they got specific, we may need to retreat to an executive session.
I guess we need to go in executive session.
It has to be a motion.
All right, I make the motion that we go into executive session.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we go into executive session. Is there discussion? All those in favor, raise your hands. We will move into executive session. We will not take a vote while we're there. Thank you. We are back in session. We had a discussion. There was no vote taken. At this time, we will seek the recommendation of the superintendent.
Madam President, I recommend for approval item 35 on the certified personnel agenda.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent. Is there is there a motion?
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we accept the superintendent's recommendation. Is there further discussion?
Why, when we've already had an issue, are we bringing it back to the table the same night? Like, I mean, we already voted on this, and then we go into executive session, we said there would not be a vote, we come back in here, and it's almost slammed down our throat?
No, there was not a vote in the executive session.
Okay.
So that we could discuss and get our questions answered. If you got your questions answered, that will help determine how you vote this time.
Okay.
Is there further discussion? Okay, at this time, we'll take the vote. All those in favor of the superintendent's recommendation to approve item number 35 on the certified personnel report, please raise your hand. It passes. Thank you. That concludes this agenda. We will move into our work session momentarily. Our next meeting date, May 14, 2024, 5 o'clock. Again, good evening. We call to order the work session of the Montgomery County Board of Education for April 9, 2024. Again, we welcome those of you who are present and those who have joined us online. Please do remember to mute all electronic devices. We have maintained a quorum. A majority of our voting members, all 7 are present. I declare a quorum is present. Approval of the agenda. It has been posted for our review. Again, if there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda by unanimous consent. Is there objection? Hearing no objection, the agenda is approved. There are several reports to be received tonight as updates. They are presented for information only. The first item on tonight's agenda is a VOCAT update. Is Mr. Yes, presented by Mr. Glenn Slater. Welcome, Mr. Slater. Good afternoon. Yes, it is.
Good afternoon, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Brown. Last month, I was asked to give a little bit more detail on the MBE, DBE participation, if I may approach. The top sheet is the consolidated sheet that goes by project with totals on it, and the backup information is broke down per project and per vendor on the back, and whether or not they are a MBE or not on here. So just to go over the top one here for Baldwin. The architect firm is CC in Litchfield. They are not a minority firm, but they are utilizing MBA for structural and civil, which is a minority firm, and Makahara Engineering for electrical, mechanical, and plumbing. Coming down through it to the point of their minority participation for that particular project is 46%. And that's throughout the whole project, all the rest of them down through there, to where you can review this on your own. And if you have any questions or what, we can go back over it again.
I was the person that requested the information.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and maybe this will be further back in the information. And you said I could give you a call if I need.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, because what I wanted to have is, and this may be here, specific names of companies, and in addition to the percentages of participation.
Correct. The names of the company are on the backup sheets here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the question. I was reading and taking notes, so my apologies. Are there additional questions of Mr. Slater?
I've got a presentation also on a couple of the projects that we've got.
Yes, sir.
moving.
Thank you.
These are the active construction projects we have currently going at Carver High School, the 9th grade academy, with the field house, along with South Lawn Middle School gymnasium, Park Crossing High School field house addition, and driveway improvements at the Blunt Car campus. This is the renderings of the new 9th grade academy and field house. These are actual photos of the school. You see how well it matches the existing building. The overall percentage is about 50% right now, and we've got Bailey Harris as the construction contractor, and JMR plus H is our architectural firm. These are the exterior pictures again from the other side. The windows are probably closer to 95 to 100% complete versus the 80% that we're reporting here. The roof is almost finished. Exterior door frames are installed. Brick and block are 100% on the 9th grade academy. This is the view looking at it if you were with Fairview to your back here. Again, interior of it, we've got stud walls up. Windows are in. Air conditioning systems are going in. The demising walls between the classrooms have got sheetrock hung. Again, this is showing the overhead duct work and electrical work is being done. Here's a photo of the new field house if you're standing in the football field. It's moving along pretty good. We've got block going up. The slab's done. The next project is South Lawn Middle School. Again, a rendering of the school. We're about 16% complete here. Carl Exford is our architect firm, and Holly Henley Builders is our contractor. What you see coming out of the ground there are the drilled piers, foundations. Again, the drill piers are complete. The grade beams are almost finished. Relocation of the existing utilities is complete, and the general contractor is starting prep work for slab placement. Park Crossing High School, and these are the renderings of the field house. The hollow core slabs have been set. The actual topping on them were poured late last week, so it's a little bit further. They should be starting on block work here in the next week or so. Another view of the same slab, and you see the rebar sticking out of the ground there where the block will be laid. Blunt driveway improvements is finished. We've got a substantial completion inspection set for next Monday. Made some stormwater improvements and, widened the road, the entry road, get another lane to come in to where they could separate it between Carr and Blunt easier. And striped it, striping for the parking to make it a little bit more even. The projects we got in design and bid update is the new Percy Julian High School. We got to relocate Todd Road, we've mentioned earlier or previously, and we're trying to bid it in May. It may wind up being June because we need to get ALDOT approval before we can bid it on it there. And the new school, we're scheduled to have it bid this summer as well. Capitol Heights Middle School, the design on that particular school is almost finished, and we'll bid it right after we do Percy Julian, just to the point of we need to move into Capitol Heights as Percy Julian is wrapping up. This is the overall, again, on the minority participation. We're at 54% for professional services, and construction contracts are running about 4%.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions or discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we on schedule with Carver?
Carver is on schedule. The contractor is pushing to get through ahead of schedule. Their contractual date is toward the end of September, but they are doing everything they can to finish before then.
The end of September?
Yes, ma'am.
They're doing everything they can do to finish a month before then.
They're pushing to complete ahead of schedule and on it.
We do have a contingency. Our conversation has been, we need to be in there in August.
I'll take it offline.
If I can.
Go ahead, Ms. Smith.
Yeah, thank you. In the event, and I understand the contingency is to be in there prior to, in the event, for whatever reason, it could be weather. If that happens, what then will be the plans? How are the kids, for the children to be placed that are coming in there from Lanier?
That's the contingency we're working on right now, but I want to give you specific details, not in this venue, but I'll send that out to you.
Other questions?
Also, Ms. Smith, because I don't intend to use it.
Okay, thank you again, sir.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda will be presented by Ms. Jamie Wilson, ESSER 3 expenditures.
Good evening again, Madam President, Dr. Brown, members of the board. I am here to present to you for your review a few contracts that will be expended out of the ESSER 3 fund. The first, I'm not sure how it's listed, so if I'm going out of order, it's the order that I have with me. The first one that I'm going to talk about is the Quaver Arts contract. It is for our music, fine arts music, K-12. Quaver music has been used, the curriculum has been used with a few teachers in our district already. They have voiced great success with using that curriculum, and also our transitioning middle school teachers have expressed the differences in students who use the program prior to starting music, that they come in with a higher readiness level. And because of that, we want to use the curriculum K-12. We have not yet had a horizontally aligned music program or vertically aligned music program across our schools. And so Ms. Natalie McKnight has worked hard with her team to choose the program Quaver Music. It brings various different levels of music, including content, music from different cultures, composure, creativity, so students are able to compose music. And again, it's at every level, K through 12. This contract is, again, expended through ESSER dollars, and it is a 3-year contract. Any questions about Quaver Music? Yes. Is it K5? I'm sorry. Yes, it's K5. Yep, K5. Quaver Music is the name, and excuse me, this is K5, which is why we were saying our middle school teachers have expressed success with students coming into 6th grade music. It does have a component of computer apps. It also has curriculum.
I have one question, and so our music teachers chose this as their preference.
Correct.
And the secondary music teachers don't have resources. Are we looking for something for them?
Yes, and actually, Ms. McKnight, if you want to come, because the specialists are here, I just was trying to make sure that we got every contract across through ESSER. On the middle school.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ms. Roy McKnight. Right now, what we're doing is we're working from the elementary level, making sure that we have a strong foundation for our students. And then as they go into the middle school and the high school, the teachers do more of a curriculum that is gauged towards those students to make sure that they have the correct instruction and passion for them to move them forward. And so we are working as a team to vertically align and to make sure that our curriculum really is the best for our students. But we want to make sure that it's personal to every student within their schools.
And this is choir and band?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And Quaver Music will provide that foundation for both instrumental and vocal music.
I did have a question. I'm sorry, I was sitting here thinking, Madam Chair, if I may. I was thinking about the middle school band, and I was thinking about how just observing our high school bands, and let me just say, I think it's a good thing starting at those early years, K through 5. But for the middle schools that feed into the high schools, and I know you're working on it, how soon? If you're working on it, you may have an answer. How soon do you anticipate a program or something similar or whatever for our middle schools?
Well, right now, we're working to make sure that that curriculum is vertically aligned, but we're providing a lot of resources with instruments, and we're also providing opportunities. Because high school bands want to build their program, we actually can reach down into the 7th and 8th grade and have them coming up into the high school and marching with them so that we have larger programs as they go into the high school.
Okay, and all of our middle schools, currently, do they all have band and choir in them?
Right now, we currently have band in all of the schools. Yes, ma'am.
But not choir?
At this time, we're working on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the next contract we have, that I have on my list is Imagine Learning and Literacy. This is to support our K-5 EL students who are scoring level 1. This is a renewal contract. Our students have been using this program and have had success. What the program does is it offers support to our English language learners. Specifically, it provides personalized learning that accelerates at the student's level, direct, explicit, and systematic instruction, but also the pathways are personalized. Our EL instructors as well as our teachers support this program. Students are engaged 90 minutes per week, and it is support, again, in addition to instruction and time with the EL instructor based on student plans. This is also state aligned, and it aligns with our Alabama State expectations for supporting EL students, and it is a recommended vendor to use to support our students. This is K-5. We actually have a different program for secondary, and Ms. Ulsary talked about, and if she wants to come up, but our students in secondary said that the program was babyish. And so we want them to be engaged. We want them to feel comfortable using the program. We do not want them to feel isolated. And so Ms. Ulsary and her team have looked at different vendors to support level 1 secondary, and we will be coming back to you with that program next month.
We take it you need this. Okay, I'm just asking, I'm just asking.
Any questions? It's K-5, yes, ma'am.
And it's a renewal, you said,
It is a
right?
renewal. We've been using it for the past 4 years, and we have seen consistent growth. Our EL population is continuing to grow, and the teachers in the classroom do not have enough time to give them that one-on-one on, as much time as they need to acquire the language. So they do work with their ESL resource teachers, the classroom teachers, but then this is an additional component that is based on the science of reading, and it helps build their language and literacy skills. So as they're moving on, they're more prepared as far as their foundational literacy skills.
We just wanted to hear you say that.
Additional questions? I have a comment. I just want to say this comment. I had called you this weekend because I was very concerned about this. I'm frustrated. I don't mean to be the voice of negativity tonight, because I want you to have this. I know you wouldn't ask for it and say how important it was, and that's why I called you, because I have a deep respect for what you do. I know how hard you work. But the Imagine Learning Edgenuity thing piece was something 6-7 months ago that we spent $3.5 million on. And I was given a phone call by the person that I think I saw earlier tonight. And the big selling point was, Lisa, we've got to have this for ESL. And I was, hey, let's do it. I got it. You taught me. I was talked into this. I felt like we had already paid for this. So me seeing this again is quite frustrating. It's, I was at a meeting last night at LAMP where a parent said there just seems to be some things that just seem to be slid in there, a little bit on the sneaky side, expecting just board members to come up here and go, oh, okay, you want it, you get it. And my thing is, I already thought we spent money on this. I think it was shared with me, I'm not going to say who, that even Mr. Watts thought that it was paid for, and I think you yourself checked and found out that that he thought it was, but you actually called the people in charge and found out it was not. That is what I have a problem with, is finding out. But you did. But I find that to find out now 6 months later when we've already spent 3.5 and now we're going to add basically another 5, 4 point close to 5, it's frustrating. I see that it works. We've been told over and over again that we're going to find something else besides that. But nobody, not one time, has stood up here and said, hey, let me tell you what we're looking for. Hey, we are looking at that. It's funny. It seems like, and I'm hearing the choir over say, it just seems like we're told things, and because it's like it goes in one ear and out the other. When you say I hear you, last night we heard that. Oh, I hear you. My dad taught me I hear you. It went in one ear and out the other, and nothing was done about it. It's quite frustrating. In the big picture, when it comes down to making big decisions, If it's worth, to me, I call it falling on the sword. If you want to fall on the sword for that baby doll, okay, I've got one too. That's all I'm gonna say.
And I do understand, and I did reach out to my contact at the company to find out if this portion was included in the first contract. I don't know if it was just missed.
I see how you need it. I wanted to make, and it's ESSER funds, and if we don't spend it, we lose it. So I'm agreeing to it. I know how bad you want it. It's just frustrating to find out 6 months later, and I wanted to say my little vent there.
So we're going to be getting another contract for 6 through 12.
Is that what you're telling us? We're going to be
Well,
hitting in with it?
It's not Imagine Learning, it's not Ingenuity. We are experiencing a large influx of high school students that are lacking formal education. They've missed many years. So we have to enroll them. So one of the things that it's doing, it is hurting our high schools as far as dropout rate, chronic absenteeism, because they're older. They don't want to come to school. So my team and I have looked at a program through another vendor, which what we are hoping to do is pilot in the fall at Capitol Heights, Percy Julian, and JAG, ESL elective classes that the children will earn an elective credit for it, but it will be a class that they come to every day to get those newcomer skills that they need. So it's going to be one just for the newcomers class, but then our second class is literacy based. So what we will be asking for is to purchase the materials for the teachers in these schools to provide the instruction.
So we're not only just looking at language barrier, but academic, like they haven't had any formal education.
Yes, ma'am.
To prepare for that, even with language.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Thank you.
The next one that is up for your review is with McGraw-Hill. It's our Wonders Handwriting Program. And so this is a language arts handwriting workbook that's provided. The handwriting component is based on the Zahner-Blaser concept. It is a one-year subscription that you see, but it'll provide us with enough consumable workbooks for the next 2 years. And it's custom made specific to Alabama standards and also specific to our needs. So each grade band has a different focus. For example, K1 will focus on manuscript, and then grade 2 will offer support with transitioning to cursive. And so we want to make sure that we're preparing our students for the Lexi's Law cursive handwriting assessment that the state provides. And this is an approved vendor from Alabama State to use for our handwriting component of K through 2. Any questions?
I have one. So what grade did you say they're going to start using this?
Kindergarten through 2nd grade.
So the 3rd graders now have to read and write cursive?
Yes, we want to make sure that they're prepared to read, write. We also understand that technology is important, but signing your name is also equally as important. Yeah. So there is a Alabama standards that we follow. We make sure that this program supports that. And then there is an assessment that students take that's called the Lexi Laws cursive handwriting, and they need to be prepared for that.
Okay. What year did they take that?
3rd grade.
3rd grade.
They're learning cursive in 3rd grade and reading in cursive in 3rd grade, and then they get tested in 3rd grade?
No, we start in kindergarten, so there's a progression.
I know, but that's manuscript in kindergarten, K through 2.
K through 1 is manuscript, and then we said we start at 2nd grade, the manuscript cursive, to then support students writing it fluently to pass the assessment.
Thank you.
Additional questions?
A comment, more so, and it's because I heard third grade. Is there anywhere in our curriculum framework for third grade, third through probably fifth grade teachers to teach cursive anyway, since some kids have not had it?
So what our students in third through fifth grade, it's now going to be based on student need. So if a student did not grasp the assessment or was not able to pass the assessment at third grade, then it'll be an intervention program for them third through fifth. But we don't focus on just the cursive in isolation with our students at that point.
Well, I guess I was looking at it as more so handwriting. I know that's an old-fashioned word, but I was thinking, wow, I guess, I've taught kids that could not read cursive. And I was just wondering, that's a good opportunity to just expand if they haven't had it, to just introduce it maybe in the curriculum under handwriting, but I hear your point.
I'm going to move over to
Thank you.
Studies Weekly. Studies Weekly is a renewal contract. I don't know if you remember, but Dr. Dowdy presented Studies Weekly earlier this year, and now we're looking to renew it. It is a standards-based K through 6 core curriculum. It offers support with our social studies content. It's also aligned to the Alabama Standards and Framework, also an approved vendor that many districts in Alabama use for support in social studies. What's important is that it's also integrated in ELA. Dr. Dowdy has worked hard to ensure that teachers are using this resource to also add a component of comprehension and support ELA standards while using the Studies Weekly content. The quote is for a 2-year subscription. The reason why it's 2 years is there's going to be a state textbook adoption for our social studies in the next 2 years. So this takes us all the way up to the adoption of a new curriculum, and that would be statewide.
And this is K through 5. It says it's K through 6.
We use it the curriculum itself can be K through 6. I do believe one school, Pentlala, who has 6th grade at the elementary, use it, but we use it K-5 for the most.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Questions?
Yes.
Okay. And then the last contract up for ESSER funds is ESSER building funds. It is for JAG High School, and it is a partnership with, we just talked about the GPS. In this particular after-school program, they have designed an after-school program with GPS to center on students who are scoring at a level 1 and are considered significantly below grade level. The importance of using GPS is that our teachers have voiced, they are, as you know, high school instructors are very knowledgeable in one content area, specifically, usually we like to call them the professors of the district, but they don't necessarily have the training to go as far back as some of our students need in remediation. And so this specific program, to your consideration for approval, would start in May. Students have been identified based on how they're scoring in the pre-ACT, also using HMH data of growth. These students that have been identified to attend this program need significant remedial support way below the high school grade spans. They will enter into the program in May. It will continue through May, June, July. They will continue their after-school program all the way through next year. So they want to start them early as possible, understanding that some of them also need to attend summer school. This is different from summer school, and it is based on their levels. So you might be struggling in a course and need to retake it in the summer programs. This is going at their level. This is not just based on a course. It's not just based on algebra or geometry. It's based on the level at which they're scoring, and we're meeting them at their needs to prepare them to be successful in coursework that right now is above their instructional level.
This is May through July.
Thank you.
They would ideally like to start the program in May, and it would go all the way through the 24-25 school year and end in July of 25.
Ms. Brown?
Yes. My question is, I understand that you're saying May through July, and I just want to know what type of schedule do you have them in May through July? Is it once a week, Monday through
It's Monday
Thursday?
through Thursday, I believe, and they have different small group instruction groups that they do. So I guess it depends on the level of which students are scoring, if they need math and reading, if they need just math, but it's dependent on what the students' needs are. But the program will run throughout the summer as well.
Additional question? Yes, Ms. Portis.
In the summer, let's say a student, you say it's different from summer school. So let's say a child is really low and they go through the summer and do well, they can't get the credit because they weren't in the summer school, or will this program flow over to help them?
Based on the GPR, and the students have scored lower than what they can take the summer school course.
I see. And also, we checked the middle school magnets to see if they need support over the summer, because several of them, those classes have been emergency stirred, or I didn't notice anything for the middle school magnets or support for the summer. Did you put that on your list, please?
Absolutely, yep. Report for the, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Report.
Probably math, they're gonna need more than anything, but math and reading.
I'll connect with them and see what their concerns are.
Ms. Smith?
Yes, I wanted to, this is going to be for JAG, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. What are they currently using? I understand that this is intervention, but what are they currently using right now throughout the year for interventions? Is it something similar to this, or will this replace something else? Or will it be just something added?
So after speaking to the principal and a few others, they have struggled to provide remediation to the level of which students need. So they are pulling from different resources, oftentimes seeking help from teachers who are willing to provide it at a lower level. So maybe asking an elementary school teacher for suggested materials. It has been a struggle for them to continue to do that and also provide instruction, and so that is where GPS is trying to support filling in the gaps for the curriculum part.
So there are no programs currently now. They're not using iReady, Alex.
Well, they do use Alex, but the specific students that have been identified are intensively needing
like
support. Yes, so they do not currently have a resource for the level of intensity and the support that they need, and they want to make sure they provide that for them.
And this will go from May until July, but it will not continue to 2025.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right. July 2025.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I was trying to write and listen at the same time. I did want to ask, how was this particular school identified? Are we seeing more of a need at this particular school, this particular high school?
This was their solution. This was their problem-solving team solution to supporting the student. So they have worked with each other amongst the schools, and this is their plan to support the services.
Okay, and they are piloted. What are the other high schools using? I'm sure there's some similar situations. Or there's some things coming down the pipe, is what I'm asking.
Right. So each school has their own problem-solving team. They have their MTSS models, and so it might look differently. What we do is if this particular program has success, we would want to do the same thing that we did with our summer bridge that we just discussed. I would want to definitely do the same thing across the district. So this is one of their solutions to trying to reach every student, and we will see if watching data, as we was asked, that if it's successful, we'd like to definitely duplicate it.
I have one more question just so I can kind of picture this. If each school, JAG is piloting this program, the other high schools are using a program specific to their needs, you said we hope to see this particular one spread across, but what if what's working, is that going to be a mandatory thing? Or what if a principal says, you know, this is great, looks good over there, but over here, this is really working for us? Will that be an option for them to keep what they have, or will they have to use whatever's being piloted?
Oh, no. If there's a specific program that's working for a specific school and those staff are engaged in that, we definitely would want to encourage them to continue what's working with their students.
Okay, that's it.
And
On the invoice, it says GPS after-school program on both, and it's 2 sets. Is that for like the tiered levels?
Yes.
Okay. So you're separating the tiers, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade to the tiers?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Portis.
And by the same token, Jamie, if what they're using, because a lot of them are using after-school tutoring, but the same teachers, if I don't understand you in the daytime, it's hard to understand you in the evening. So we may want to ask those schools, we have something else, so you all don't have to do that if it's not working.
Yes, and I really do want to see the success of it before I come and say, use this. But if the principals want to try and they are looking for support, absolutely.
Okay, additional questions of Ms. Wilson? Thank you so much, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda will be our facilities update, followed by re-roofing projects and HVAC renovations. We will take questions after each presentation. Facilities update, Mr. Anderson.
Good evening, Dr. Brown, Dr. Coleman, and members of the board. If you'll go through your spreadsheet with me, I won't cover the items that Glenn covered in the Volkert report. We'll go down to the Wares Ferry re-roof. That re-roof is complete. The metal flashing is all that remains, and they're dressing up some of the site where they had to store materials that needed to be worked on. So I anticipate substantial completion on that very shortly. The Brubaker Intermediate HVAC and Brubaker Primary HVAC, you see the percentages there. We're 70 to 75% at the intermediate and 30 to 35% at the primary school. We have halted that work there until the state testing completes here in another couple of weeks. But contractors do not feel this will impede us finishing this on time with that. So good with that. The Carver High School repair is underway. They've begun cleaning the EFS around the back of the school and painting and resurfacing that. They'll be moving to the front of that. I believe, Ms. Brown, you had some questions about the cleaning of that area. You'll start seeing that here in the coming weeks. If you go behind the building, you'll see the sample of that higher kind of tan area that you see. So you're going to see that clean up here in a real short order here. So that's coming along very well. That's a short contract. We're about probably 20 days into a 90-day contract to complete those roof repairs. The Brubaker Primary and Intermediate roof replacement, pre-construction meeting was held on that. They're coordinating with the HVAC people because there is equipment on top of the roof. Luckily, the architect that does our roofs also works hand in hand with a mechanical engineer that did those projects, so they are working hand in hand to make sure the curbing and that sort of thing that'll go on top of the roof with that equipment will work well together, and we won't have any issues with a leaky roof after that is complete. Morningview and Davis actually did get an update on that today. We'll be discussing that tomorrow with the group that's going to be running those two projects. I'm receiving word, Mr. Watts has given me some information on the upcoming funding for this next year, so we'll be able to put some funding towards those two projects and hopefully take those further down along with the phasing so that you can see some of the progress like what we've seen at Goodwin with the windows and HVAC there. We've already approved the Nixon, Halcyon, Garrett, and Johnson roofs. And then the Blunt and Chisholm, I have to pull that. I'll be providing some information in the Friday update with that. We had to bump the bid opening from today to Thursday, so I'll have that for you as quickly as I can here on Friday. You'll have the bid tabulations for those unless something changes. The Operations Security HVAC replacement, we have a failed unit there and another one that's going out. We'll be replacing that with a VRF system similar to what's over here in Building C and Building B across the street. Much more efficient, something that's already in parts of those buildings, but that is the bid tabulation and contract information for the low bidder for that HVAC replacement.
Okay, you might notice that he went ahead and combined all those in that one report. You will notice, though, on the HVAC renovations, he did give us an exhibit for the bid tabulations. It is in your documents. Are there questions of Mr. Anderson?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead,
I was listening,
Yes,
but you kind of went a little faster. You mentioned EFIT, the cleaning of the EFITs. Where was that at?
EFS is the...
I know what that, I just want to know where were you cleaning?
Carver High School.
How much of that school is EFIT?
Not a tremendous amount. It's probably a quarter of that elevation on that building, but it wraps all the way around that building, and at different periods. We need to start looking at that in a lot of our buildings that have that EFS material, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't choose it for BTW, because we went with the metal panels on the BTWs. You pay a little bit ahead, a little bit more on the metal panels, but in the long run, you don't have the upkeep that we have.
We're not, I mean, I just didn't think about this long term. I know we're building new schools, and I know Volkert is here and still represent. I'm hoping we're not using EFIT. I mean, the other name for it is Drive It, but I've done extensive studies on that because I'm in real estate, and it's just something long term I don't think would be an asset to the MPS system, just simply because I mean, I'm not trying to be the know-it-all on this, but if you don't have the right builder on that and that EFIT is too close to the ground, you've got the termites coming in. And what I used to do with all my clients and still do when they buy some of the old homes with EFITs, I'll get a styrofoam cup, put some Kool-Aid in it, and I'll ask them to just watch it overnight for 24 hours because you could see that Kool-Aid seeping through. And when you've got things on EFITs, because it's the styrofoam, it's about the size of, and I'm sure you know this, it's like a fingernail. And you've got the styrofoam under that, and if you've got any kind of moisture coming from that ground, you've got termites coming up galore. And I'm just hoping that, I know you're sitting out good, she's shaking her head. I went to dinner with her last month, and I'm pleased to hear that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And they'll be cleaning that area up. We'll start doing that at several of our schools around that area. And that was one of the things that, Volkert sat down with each of our departments and maintenance and logistics and all the different groups, transportation, security, curriculum, all these different groups were poured into the plans of those things. And that's what we tried to make sure. That's my goal in everything I do, is to try to make it where it's more easy to maintain moving forward. There's some systems that are more difficult to maintain, like that high EFS like that we just want to try to get away from, or I want to try to get away from. That's why you saw BTW has the metal. Here you have that finished metal, and that's what we try to do. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Portis?
On the schools that, I have one school, I don't know how Flowers is doing, but that are getting STEM labs. They're short on space, so they had to move somebody to put that. Will they get additional trailers, or how are we going?
We stay away from the trailers because of the tornado, the storm shelter issue, and then the cost factor of those things that come along with it. I mean, you're going to pay a tremendous amount of money for those storm shelters to go in with a $20,000, $30,000 portable that are there, and portables are not meant to be a permanent solution. We do our best to try to maintain the ones we have and keep those up and keep those going. But, for example, South Lawn Middle, I'm excited we were able to get the buildings that we're putting out there because we were housing some of our programs in portables that were just falling apart out there. So that's something we want to continue to tackle along the way, getting rid of those. I want to remove 2 at JAG that are there that we've kind of gotten out of and get those taken care of. The hard part now is finding entities that will take those, because they are such a problem situation. Nobody really wants them. I mean, once they get to be as old as the ones we have, they're not really worth anything. It costs more to move them than the actual worth or value of those portables or trailers. The last ones we did, they auctioned off at about $1,500, and it cost about $5,000 or $6,000 to move one of those.
If I could just add, in terms of space within buildings, we're going to work with principals to make sure that we're being as efficient as possible in usage, because we know we have some classrooms that aren't necessarily being used for instruction, and we may have to use some of those, so we can make sure we do make that happen, because no one wants trailers.
Okay. Additional questions? Thank you, Mr. Anderson. The next item on our agenda will be our bylaws update. Ms. Cassandra Brown and her team.
Okay. My team consists of Mrs. Cloud and Mrs. Mitchell. And we also consulted with Attorney Dana Hill as we explored our bylaws. And each of the board members received copies of the suggested changes. And most of the information that we are proposed changing is a lot of cosmetics, cleanup. There were 2 changes that we consider to be major changes, and we dealt with one of them in the month of February, I think, and that was to change our board meeting, flip the work session and the actual board meeting around. So we have been using that method for the last 2 months, and I think that it has worked pretty well to our liking. And at this time, if any board members have any other suggestions that the committee needs to consider before we bring this back to a vote, we would entertain that at this time.
And we also added the Alabama codes to each section, which was very important because that takes us back to the law while we're doing the things we're doing.
Okay, thank you. We thank you for that report and the work that we know had to go into it. We have a lot more work for you ahead, but this is enough for us to, this is good homework so that we can be ready to vote on these policies within the next month. And I think I will hold my recommendation. It's not about these guidelines. I'll hold my recommendation because I see discussion. Ms. Smith?
I just want to say one thing, not policies, these are bylaws.
I'm sorry, and that's exactly where I was headed. These bylaws, because policies and bylaws don't go in the same document, and I wanted to make the recommendation now that I'm on the floor for it, that we do develop a manual of procedures that will include the policies and the guidelines for carrying out our responsibilities. But thank you. Question?
Well, more like a comment. I do want to say I did send some corrections via email, so thank y'all for considering it so that it's, streamlined properly, but that's all.
Thank you.
Any additional comments or discussion? Questions? Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Bylaws Committee. Absolutely, we thank you. The next 3 items are contractual items. The first one would be the superintendent's contract, which is not set to expire until 2025. But we do not want to get into the habit of rollover contracts. So what we are looking at, and I'm going to start off with your exhibits came to you late this afternoon. And if you have not had enough time to look over those and you don't feel comfortable discussing, we can, communicate, not in a quorum, but, just let the vice president or me know what your concerns are, and we can make sure that those are included in whatever negotiations we have to do with the 3 contracts. But if you do have access to those, and if you have looked over those documents, this would be a good time for us to start our discussions so that we can make certain that we are consistent, that we have a cohesive plan for moving forward. But on the superintendent's contract that is set to expire in 2025, the proposed document that you have would take the place of the current contract, and in it you will see, I think, 2 highlighted changes. One having to do with annuities, and believe it or not, I have forgotten the other one. Let's see. I do know that we did a cleanup, items that are no longer relevant because we had to deal with moving and travel and things of that sort. So those would be taken out. And we were looking at the fact that in this contract, the raises would come according to evaluations. I think those are the 2 areas that we're looking at, the 2 to 3% increases. And generally, the items in yellow are the items that would be the negotiated items that are not major changes. The items in blue are the requests from the superintendent for a a new contract.
Well, let me just say this. I think we're getting it a little ahead of this because we haven't even done his evaluation yet, and I think that's important to do that, see where we stand.
I think it is absolutely important, but again, we don't want to get into the habit of rolling over contracts as we have done in the past. We want to make certain that we know before November where we're headed. And, if you'll send us whatever changes you want made to any contract, regardless of when it is signed and when it goes into effect, those discussions need to be had long before November of '24. One of the things we do want to make certain as we read these contracts is that we ensure that evaluations are done and done in a timely manner. I think everyone at the table understands that these evaluations are vital. We must get them done, and we are in that process. But we don't want to wait, again, so that we are 6 months out deciding whether or not we would like to extend a contract of this superintendent or risk it rolling over. That takes it out of our control. I think if we make the decision, we decide what we want and how we want to move forward. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're discussing.
Well, historically, most superintendents are notified 6 months during the time that they go through contracts. That's the way it's been.
I think the language is prior to 6 months. We want to notify them prior to that 6-month deadline.
Dr. Coleman, if I may really
Yes.
quickly, just for clarity, please don't submit those as requests. That's be a proposal that the board would discuss and we would trade back and forth. So I'm not requesting, this isn't a request from me, just so you're aware.
No, this is not a request from the superintendent. If I'm not mistaken, I sent out a communication about 6 months ago that we wanted to have a discussion on the contract renewals for our superintendent as well as our CSFO.
And I just had a question, it's in relation to this. So the exhibits, I was looking at it when you said it, we got it at 442, I was on my way here. And it's, the only thing I see are contracts, so I was just wondering, did I miss something? You said it would be his exhibits that would be in a PDF file? Or did I mishear you? Could you repeat it, because that's what I thought I heard.
I said something, oh, no, when I mentioned exhibits, when I asked for these items to be on the agenda.
Just the contract?
Yes.
Gotcha. When you
The
said-
exhibits were not posted. The proposed contracts were not posted.
Okay.
And that's why I was calling them exhibits. And all those things we have in the paper clip, I call those exhibits.
Right, I was just making sure, because I went through looking. So, and I'm just gonna ask, my other question is about just making sure we're on the timeline, because I know you said we wanna make sure we're moving through. So we're in the month of April, so the documentation of the PLP plan, and I'm assuming, and I wrote something down, where we will be presented, I guess with the actual exhibits.
We
I know that
received
in the
we
PLP.
received 2 this week, or 3. I think we
Okay.
received 3 exhibits this week.
I know I saw the PLP. Is that what we're counting as one?
And there were 3 attachments, right?
That was all shared in a Google Drive.
I'm sorry.
That was all shared in a Google Drive. It's a link on last week's connection.
Okay. I'm just making sure I'm looking at everything correctly. That's why I'm asking. Just
No
checking
problem.
myself.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. We do want to keep the discussion going, and hopefully we can make some decisions real soon. The next item was the CSFO's contract. It is set to expire this summer, and we have run into what we don't want to run into with our superintendent. On this proposal, there were 4 ask-fors. Those 4 ask-fors are highlighted in the exhibit, in the document, in the proposed contract. They're highlighted in yellow, and the items in blue would be anything new or any edits. Are there any concerns? One thing, as I talk about them individually and collectively, they would all be set to start July 1, 2024, and end June 30, 2027. So we would have our timelines designated, and we would all be on the same page, knowing where we're headed and what we're doing.
When is the CSFO contract over? Like when's the deadline?
It expires June 30 of this year.
Of 2024?
Yes.
Then we better say something, or I'll say something. I looked at that briefly, and I've got 2 words. I was offended. I think we need to look for another CSFO, and I'm not kidding. I did last time, but I thought I saw all the good things that have done. I'm saddened to say what I'm saying, because I think I have never in my life enjoyed a CSFO more than Arthur Watts. I saw all the things that he's done, the list of things that he's done. I know what we pay him. I don't know if I can say that here. I think it's close to almost $200,000. If that's true, that's what we pay him for. He makes that much money to do those good things. And to ask for, to me, an astronomical more Lisa Keith, I'm speaking third person, I was offended.
That's
Oh, what, I
additional
think-
32,400 that's requested, plus some other things, but those are the three.
May I
I
ask?
think the discussion, though, would better serve us if we talked about what we would like to offer. This is not a contract that is being signed, and, you know, as we communicated, we already know that contracts can be negotiated.
There you
And that's what we are here and prepared to do.
If I may, just so everyone can save face a little bit, just having drafts go back and forth and discussing those privately is typically a little more beneficial than trying to put all that information out now to have that discussion. You have a draft in hand, something to consider. Obviously, the board can trade some things back and forth among themselves to talk about what works, what doesn't work, and then work with each individual based on whatever time frame or whatever that's necessary to make that happen, just so the difficult conversation doesn't happen here at the dais.
And all of us board members need to make a commitment when we send something out. We don't wait 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days and we don't hear. We need to be on top of this because it's important for this individual.
Well, absolutely. And one of the reasons we switched the format for our meetings is so that we have a month to have the hard conversations. And I almost didn't send them to you. I almost waited. But, you know, the attorney advised that we could go ahead, send them out, get them in your hands, start a discussion. And although Ms. Smith noted that I think one of them was sent at 4:44, it was originally sent around closer to 3:15 to 3:30. And, I'm sorry, the note, but the attachments were not included. And, you know, I did apologize for that. But we knew they were late. When we talked to the attorney, I told her I knew they were late, but it's a conversation that I know needed to be had and needed to be had earlier rather than later. So we are ready. We have the documents. We are ready to discuss and go back to the table to negotiate on any of these. And that's why they are presented to you, because it is a collective decision of this body.
I really wish we had had the attorney in place by now to govern with some of this, but I agree with Pam. And we do get a month, but we can't wait to get to the table in a month's time and talk about this, because then it'll be full discussion. We need to be committed to meet at another time before we're required to come back and vote on this, because it is a negotiation. It is. We're going to have to trade a couple of principles and some children and you name it.
I don't think that that is true, but the conversations can be made. You can talk to me, you can talk to Ms. Brown. And yes, you can talk to each other, as long as we don't have a quorum present.
If I may, it may also be easier for either the two of you to represent the board in conjunction with council to have the conversation with each individual who might have representation themselves in regard to what that might look like, and that may bring something to the table to draft that everyone can live with, as opposed to trying to negotiate it at the dais, if I may.
Well, we can
Oh,
have, up to
absolutely.
3, so maybe we need to have a third person that would be in that negotiation too. There should be at least 3 of us.
Okay. The third one is the general counsel, and I will say that even though a lot of us are concerned about how long this process has taken, the underlying, you know, the conflicts that arose were minor as far as I'm concerned. The person that was eventually selected does understand, and we have had some interesting, good conversations. That proposed contract is also included in your documents. It is a new document, so it won't have any yellows and blues. And again, that is for your review and feedback. All of these are set to start again, if approved, July 1 of 2024. And the particulars of those contracts are included.
I have one question. It was mentioned, are you saying 3 people in the negotiation or 3 people in the presentation? Because if you're presenting what we already agreed on. Is that correct?
What do you mean, on the council or on
I just
three?
heard 3 people, there needs to be 3 people. Did you say negotiating?
As we go back and forth with the, I can't call them candidates, with the
CFSO
employees.
Okay, okay.
You know, that was a recommendation, but, and I think.
Why wouldn't we all be involved in negotiations?
Well, we are when you give your feedback on what's in this document, but we cannot meet with each of the individuals unless we are in an open forum like this. But as far as your input, you send me exactly what you want said with the attorneys, and it will get said. And when we negotiate with those persons and we return to this table with the document that the attorneys have helped us to draw up, this body takes the vote.
So we're waiting until July 1 to make to have the attorney in place.
Oh, that is true, and that is because that young lady that was selected needs time to settle her affairs. Well, you know, she did say that June 1 was the earliest that she would consider, but she said July 1 would be ideal.
That's interesting.
Any other discussion? Thank you. New business item. Ms. Portis wants to talk with us about the Community Engagement Committee.
Yes, our Community Engagement Committee is ready to meet. It consists of Ms. Smith, Ms. Mitchell, myself. We're going to invite Phaedra Foster to partner with us. We'll also, in time, be asking Dr. Keith. Dr. Keith has a proposal for a mentorship plan that we would love for the community to help us implement. We would like to meet at the old teacher building. Ms. Mitchell is going to hopefully get us in there so we can look around and see what's needed. Our first order of business, we're going to come together to create some goals. We're going to come together to see what it is that's important to the board, because you all are in touch with your community. We want to know what is it that your community needs. We're moving to Vacation Bible Study in the community. We're moving to, many of our churches will have summer school, summer programs where they go on field trips and they do. So we would love to have them come in. We want to be, Ms. Mitchell made it really clear to me that we want to be in order before we try to bring people in to teach them. But there are a lot of churches that would love to know what is it. So we'll be reaching out to Jamie and her staff just to kind of keep us, you know, we want to help the third graders. We really have to help our third graders, and we want to make sure they know what to do because they'll help us. We just need to let them know what it is we need. So we're real excited about that. We're real excited. We've even talked about equipment, and we want y'all to know that we are looking, scouring the district, Dr. Brown, for any equipment we find. We're gonna take it, we're gonna keep it, and put it over there in that building.
Well, thank you. I'm excited that you're excited. And I'm looking forward to hearing more. The only concern I have is a fourth member. We can't have a fourth member on the committee, but we can definitely take the input of any member around this table. And thank you. I hope that mentorship program gets off and running. And hopefully we will use our community, family and community engagement director as a part of that committee as well. Thank you so much. I'm extremely happy about the Bylaws Committee's work and the Community Engagement Committee getting ready to get us going again. We had one other new business item requested. Ms. Erica Smith wanted to speak about policy.
Yes. Last night, there was a discussion at Lamp High School, and as maybe you don't know, but Lamp is one of the schools that's in the district that I represent. And there was a policy concern that came up about the GPR, but I'm going to touch on that, but I'm not going to expound on it because you all who were there, you know what the conversation was. But my primary concern was when the policies change in departments, it is because we are a policy board, it is better, it helps to let that policy also peruse us. We need to be kept updated on the policy, and we also have the opportunity to give input on it. I think if that were done, because I know I got calls and I gave information that I remember that happened back in 2018. And told them what I recall under a different leader, what happened. But when that policy goes out and it does not come through us, it puts us in a bad light, in a bad place, because we get the blame first. Everything falls on us. You all kind of get to not have to deal with the blows on that. But if I'm going to take a lick, I need to know what I'm getting hit for. So, and I'm making this plea to Dr. Brown because he's y'all's boss, but the 7 of us are over him. We have to know about your policy changes. And that's not just something I'm saying. It was something that I've been trained on throughout the years, that these policies that we need to be abreast. I was here for intervention and cognia, and the one thing that I heard over and over and over again is that either our policies were old or we weren't as in tune to what the policies were. So just moving forward, so that we can all be on the same page. Please bring the policies through the board so that if there's something out there, we can support you. Like I said, it's not chastisement. This is just asking for some courtesy and following what the policies are that exist now. We have to see those policies in each of your departments. So when questions are asked, we also have something to refer back to. That was not a good feeling, getting phone calls about something that I didn't know about, and even being accused of something I didn't know about. So you have to, I don't know if you have that much empathy. I hope you do, but put yourselves in our shoes. It's not a good look. It's not a good feeling to have to sit there. So I just hope, I read the email today that there was some corrections, please, and I was thankful to get it in the email, but I hope we get to formalize it at the board table so that it will be there. And the next thing I want to talk about is having our policies accessible and visual. One of the things that was brought to my attention is that they couldn't find it. I couldn't either. I was literally tearing my house up looking for paperwork back from 2018, just trying to support what I knew happened at that time. But let's formalize some processes. Let's stick to the script, if you will, and getting things done in decent and in order, so that this will not have to take place. It was it was embarrassing. I heard a lot about it, and I was deeply concerned, but I want to put that out there because I want my constituents to know that I addressed it. I stated my case, and I'm done. Yes, sir.
Madam
Oh,
President.
I'm sorry.
Madam President, if I may, I want to expound upon what you said. Number one, I did not know that was your new business. Number two, I actually went by Home Depot today and got me some duct tape because I really wasn't going to speak on this. But since you brought it up, you also, I've been told I think you used the words, Lisa, don't bridle your words, and I'm not. I went out to that last night. I had no idea that our superintendent was going to be speaking, honestly. It was in 30 seconds when he walked in the door. I merely went out to listen, wasn't planning on going. Ms. Cloud asked me to go, and I felt, I was, honestly, I just felt like it was divine intervention that I ended up there. And when I was there and speaking about it, I don't think I was ugly. I just kind of supported the parents there. Even the PTA president over here, thanked me for coming out. I don't think my behavior was out of line. And when you have a security guard walk 1 foot from you and stand there to intimidate you, she did not know I was a board member, obviously. Not that that means anything. But when I was talking, I raised my hand like everybody else and spoke. And when she offered to escort me out of the room, I was appalled at the behavior. And I did. I need to apologize to the people that were there publicly, since this is live streamed. My behavior was not becoming. I don't mind to tell you, I've been in anger management before. And last night, when you say here that it was embarrassing, it was embarrassing. And to know that a security guard that is hired and an employee at MPS would treat a board member that she didn't know was a board member makes me totally understand why people will not join our PTAs. I was flabbergasted last night. And I just wanted to say that.
Yes.
Really quick, Ms. Smith, I completely agree with you. Historically, the GPR has not been brought to the board. I'm going to say, certainly not my tenure, but before my tenure. I did send a draft of the GPR on September 22nd. And if I'm not mistaken, I thought you asked me some questions about it, because I asked for some input. I think you were the only one that gave me any, if I can't recall. I think you mentioned something about MTSS at that time. So I did share that draft on September 22nd. But I agree with you, 100%. So we will be bringing those things forward. Keith, I don't know how to respond to that. I wasn't aware of that until the email you sent me this morning. I saw none of that because I was addressing the crowd and interacting with parents. So I had no idea any of that happened until this morning.
Like I said, it was embarrassing. But when you saw those parents, and I mean, that was a full-blown room of parents. And you had Ms. Foster out there. I mean, I saw Ms. Foster in a totally different light. I heard those parents. And when they tell you that that school has already put forth efforts to set up a tract for these kids, and y'all don't let us board members know of the changes, nor the committee that you're going to make those changes, it's like the lady said last night that I didn't know any of those parents out there, not one, that said it comes across as sneaky. It comes across as making us not trust the system. It's brought me here tonight, and I've acted in a way, I'm mostly not that negative person. But when you have an ex-mayor, when you have people calling you, when you have people showing up tonight to, kudo this and kudo that, and put political pressure on you to do things, it almost tests my intelligence. I think it tests all of our intelligence, especially mine. And I hate and am saddened that some of the things that I've said tonight, I meant. I have no regret for saying, because I just feel like here we are, we have all these extra money to help our children, and yet we have people out with their hands out with contracts that want more. when I'm like, whoa, it just blows my mind at the handouts. I'm sorry I have to come across that way, but people know me for me, and you know, you said the words last night that I heard, it is what it is. Well, guess what? It is what it is.
Is there other discussion?
I have one
Doctor,
question
just
about
Dr.
policy. Do we have a policy committee, or are we all on that committee?
We are a committee of the whole.
A committee of a whole, because we do need, you know, we've been planning to get together. We've got that whole audit book, yeah. So this summer, we need to make some.
As a matter of fact, hopefully, everybody is going to be willing. We are working with a group that's supposed to help us get that work done. They were scheduled for the fall, but we changed the schedule. We will meet with them either in late May or early June, but we will definitely have that group ready to go to work, get us trained, and we will have attorneys available to help us with the wording. I'm sorry.
May I share one other thing?
I apologize.
We are getting ready to go through Cognia district-wide accreditation.
Accreditation. Mhm.
And there is an offer that board members can go and get whole board training. I think that we need to do that ASAP so we can be a part of that moving forward as the system moves forward to get accredited.
And I have no problem with that, absolutely.
I
Ms.
just
Portis.
wanted to remind you that we need that information as early as possible. May is tough. You know, we've got graduations, we have all that stuff
would
coming in
definitely be
May.
after-
Yeah, and then June we'll be gone for a little bit, so.
Commencement, okay. Well, yes, 2 announcements. I've already mentioned the Alabama Purple Star Awards or recognition, April 11th at the Alabama State Department of Education, and the ASU Dual Enrollment Signing Day is coming up. I'm excited about that. The next meeting, we said, is May 14th, 5 o'clock, right here. Look forward to seeing you. This meeting is adjourned. April 19th. So we missed